Art gives us the opportunity to take something ugly and painful and turn it into something beautiful. And I think that is such a superpower. In this video, I'll be sharing snippets of an interview I did with Stephanie from the School of Whispers podcast. We talk about my sacred creative practice, about using art to turn pain into pleasure, as well as how painting the Archetype self-portrait series that I've been working on has changed my perception of myself. And while the interview plays, you can watch the time-lapse process of my last painting in this series, The Crone. At the end of the video, I'll also share where my art is headed from here, as well as how the archetypes can assist you in coming home to yourself. So be sure to stick around until the end.
Something that you mentioned earlier was how art is a deep connection with source. So at what point were you consciously channeling source or calling in source into your artwork? Like at what point did your creative practice become sacred?
That's such an interesting question. I feel like I'm someone who kind of believes that everything is sacred, and even when we don't realize it is, that it is. So I would say, from the moment that I started making art, it was a sacred practice, and I feel that for everyone. Anyone who is creating anything, it is a sacred practice, whether you realize that or not. But the moment that started to become more conscious was, I think, in that time where I wasn't sleeping and where I was having a lot of insomnia and I was painting, because it was in those really late 3 a.m. hours where you're kind of in between worlds anyways, that I started to just, say, I'm open, whatever wants to move through me right now, please move through me. I don't care what this looks like, just let it move. And I think that that's another really important thing in any kind of art practice, is just having space where you're like, I don't care what this looks like, but let it move through me.
Mm-hmm. Hearing you talk, I'm hearing the words, okay, trust. Mm-hmm. She had to fully embody trust. What are some of the qualities that this journey has really helped you embody?
Trust is certainly one of them. I think that that's probably one of the biggest ones. The ability to let creativity move through you is the ability to let the unknown move through you, because when you're creating from that space of not trying to make something look exactly like something else, but creating from a place of, I don't know what's going to happen when I put my brush on this canvas, but I'm just going to let it move. You have to let go, and you have to trust, and you have to kind of turn off the part of your brain that says, what am I doing? But this doesn't look like anything. This looks ugly. The judgment is going to come up, and I feel like when you continue to practice, eventually the judgment gets a little bit quieter. So trust is definitely a big one. Confidence, I would say, is another one. Just the realization that the more that you do something, the better you get at it. And so having been making art for so long and painting for so long, to look back and see how much my skill has grown just from doing it is a big confidence booster, and gives me the confidence to know that no matter what it is that I want to do in life, I can accomplish it, as long as I practice. And I think that a lot of people think that creativity is something that you're born with, and you either have it or you don't. Like, you have talent as an artist or you don't, and that's so not true. You can do anything that you set your mind to. You just have to practice it, and creativity is the same way. It's a muscle that you have to learn how to flex.
I really think that creative expression is our birthright.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, there was something that you said there that had me... with the trust and the confidence. It makes me think of all the times that I bought big canvases and I was so overwhelmed that I was like, nope. And now all the canvases that I have right now are little ones. But now hearing what you're saying and kind of realizing that I'm in this place in my life where the jumps I want to make are more big and unknown than ever, it kind of makes me want to think of the therapeutics, the therapy of getting a big ass canvas and being like, you can do this. Don't think too much, just do. Something that seems to have amalgamated out of your year of art was the Archetype series that you've been working on. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Sure. There is another podcast out there called the Creative Pep Talk Podcast, and it's hosted by Andy J. Pizza. If you're a creative, it's a really wonderful space to tune into. And he did a podcast and he talked about creating something called an identity parade, where it's just like creating a body of work where you explore all these different identities within yourself and how empowering that can be to just see yourself in a different light and allow yourself to take on these many different perspectives. And so that kind of was the initial spark of the Feminine Archetype series that I'm working on now. And I really just wanted this project to be a space where I could explore all of the many facets of being a woman and allow myself to embody all these different personalities. Because I think we so often restrict ourselves to who we think we are, who we're supposed to be. And there are so many ways of being. And through each piece that I've created and that I am creating, I go through a process of embodying who it is that I'm putting on the canvas. And so, for instance, the first one that I created was the Maiden. She's the youthful, kind of naive one. And I feel like she is who I embodied through most of my life, like really sweet and gentle, but kind of naive and not really like strong in her power. And so I went through the process of really embodying that childlike energy, and then I moved on to the next one, which was quite different. I went into the warrior, which was an initiation into power. It forced me to ask the question, what am I passionate about and what do I really care about, and realizing like it's the earth. And so I wanted to create a piece that really showed how much I cared for the earth and how passionate I was about being a warrior for the earth. And from there I moved into the lover, which is just kind of like embodying more of our sensuality, our sexuality, and allowing myself to be seen in that light, which was a little bit difficult. I think that I had shut that part of myself off for a little while after some really difficult experiences and realized that I missed her. Like I missed that energy of the free-flowing lover sensuality, just kind of really getting grounded and feeling into the pleasures of being here on earth. And then the latest one that I did was the mother. And so kind of moving into that energy of a life giver. And that's a really powerful one because it is so tied into creativity, giving life to whether it's literal babies or giving life to paintings, giving life to something that you're creating with your hands, with your voice, with your body. We get to tap into that mother energy, and it's such a powerful and spiritual space. And you know, it's going through the process of creating these paintings that really allows me to go deep into what it means to embody that archetype within myself, and that's going to be different for everyone. So, you know, that's where I'm at in the series now. I have 3 more archetypes left to do, and then I'll probably tie it all together with like a bigger picture of wholeness of my own femininity. So it's really a personal exploration that I'm going on, you know, and that's what I love about art, is that it allows us to go there.
What are the other, if you don't mind sharing, the last 3 archetypes? I'm curious.
So the next one will be the queen, and then the mystic, and then the last one is the crone, so the wise old woman, which I'm very excited about painting that one. I know it's going to be a challenge, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And as you're saying all of this, I'm visualizing all the photos or the paintings that you have done, and all the little details and little nuances, and realizing how much it means. I think of the maiden with the flower, how you say it's light but a little bit naive, easily carried in the wind, but also it's focus on how we show up in the world, how everyone else sees us. And then I think of your warrior painting where there's thick tree trunks and roots, and it's more that rooted, who am I, not what does the world think of me, but what do I think of myself. And oh my gosh, it's so good. I want to do this. I feel really inspired to do it. I think of growing up, Frida Kahlo was in high school, she was She was the one who helped me accept myself fully, because she painted herself emphasizing her mustache and her unibrow and her pain. And all of a sudden, all these things about me that absolutely are about being a woman that I was ashamed of growing up, all of a sudden I was like, wow, this actually can be displayed and celebrated and magnified.
And that's the power of art, is that it is alchemy. It's like taking this painful thing that life has given you, or this ugly thing that life has given you, and saying, I'm going to make something out of this. Like, I'm going to turn this into something beautiful. And it really gives you the power back. It puts the power back in your hands when you can do that.
I don't know if it's the mushrooms or what, but I'm so excited right now. I actually had this one tattoo on me, the leopard, that it came through during a time where I was being taken advantage of. I was working a lot of jobs, and all of my bosses in some way were disrespecting me. And I kind of realized, well, I had looked back at an old entry in my journal where I said I would much rather betray myself than to allow anyone around me to feel uncomfortable. And when I read that, I was heartbroken. I was angry. I felt betrayed by everyone and myself, but also realized everyone was treating me this way because I allowed it. I almost expected it. Yeah. And so out from that anger and frustration came all these drawings of these leopards. And then one day I go, I'm gonna get this leopard on my body. This is my totem of this, how it's possible to be unfuckwithable and to also be like my soft, gentle self. Yeah, art is just so incredible, and how it gives us this opportunity to reflect.
I hope you enjoyed listening to our talk as much as we enjoyed recording it. And if you want to listen to the full episode, I will leave a link in the description. I'll also leave links to videos of some of the other archetype painting processes if you'd like to check those out. So now that I have completed the last archetype in this series, where am I headed from here? My goodness, this self-portrait process has been so enlightening and so much fun, and I am also so ready to paint something other than myself. And there are two ways that I want to transition into a new phase within my art. And the first way is within my own original art, and the other is in collaboration with you. So with my original art, my plan is to create a piece that ties in the feeling of wholeness that I've come into within myself throughout the painting process of this series. And this piece will be quite different from the rest and also much larger than the rest. But at the same time, it will fit, and you'll just have to subscribe and keep coming back to see the full picture. I am so excited to create this piece and to transition into a new series that is completely and totally inspired by the feeling of wholeness. You can't see me, but I am doing a little happy dance in my seat as I record this because I am just so excited and so full of creative energy right now. The second way that I plan to paint things other than myself is actually to paint you and to paint with you. If you've been inspired at all by the archetype series, if you're curious to explore the archetypes in your own life, I'm going to leave my email in the description. I encourage you to reach out and introduce yourself. Let me know what's been inspiring to you. I have two offers. The first one is a commission painting offer where we will have an hour-long phone chat. I will get to know you and your desires, and together we will create a portrait of you that serves as a visual reminder of who you are capable of becoming. I know for me, it is so helpful to have imagery to come back to when I want to create deep and meaningful change in my life. And so I encourage you to reach out with a brief introduction and also let me know what size you would be interested in for a portrait. I'll send back a quote and we can go from there and schedule a time to chat and get to know each other a little bit deeper. The second way that you can work with me to incorporate the archetypes into your life is through creative mentorship. And this would be more for someone who wants to get really hands-on and create their own art. I'll leave a link in the description with more information on this, but the gist is that you'll work closely with me for 6 weeks as we use art to explore your inner world and to move through any energetic blocks that you might have. This would be, like I said, more of a hands-on approach for someone who is really curious to engage with the art making process itself. If this sounds enticing to you, please send an email with an introduction, mention the archetype series, and we can set up a free discovery call to see if we are a good fit to work together long term. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm sending you so much love and so many blessings. I look forward to hearing from you.